In the name of Allah, the most gracious and the most merciful. This is Sayyida Naveen Asad and I will be teaching you English. I am going to use Intermediate English book for grade 12 for these online lectures. Today's lecture is under Unit 1 that is titled is Vision and Mission. In the previous lectures, we have started reading this unit and we are done with reading section 1.1 that was titled as the last or the farewell sermon. Today we are going to start reading section 1.2. Its title is Jinnah's Vision of Pakistan. You can open up your book on page number 21 so that you may not have any confusion. Under this reading section, first of all, we will read this speech, Jinnah's speech, and I will explain it to you. After reading, we will discuss what are the main or important points that Jinnah has discussed in his speech, and then we will turn towards the section that is given at the end of this chapter under the heading of recalling, interpreting and extending. But before going towards the formal reading, I would like to explain the term vision and mission to all of you. If you remember, in the farewell sermon, we have discussed about visionary discourse, and I told you that visionaries are those people who can predict future as it is, or sometimes you can say that they are going to predict the future near to reality. So here vision means that when you are going to have that statement that describes the desired future position of the company, or simply we can say that if a person is going to have certain image in his or her mind that after 10 or 20 years I will be in a certain position, that is called vision. And mission is statement that defines that the organization objectives and its approach to reach those objectives. Now, mission and vision both are related terms. When we achieve our mission, we are going to achieve our vision. I will give you a simple example. Let's take the example of ETA students, those who are preparing for medical and engineering. They are trying, they are having an image in their mind. They are trying to imagine that after 10 years, after 2 to 3 years, they will be doctors. So for being doctors, what they are trying to do, they are going to have certain short-term goals or objectives. And what are those objectives and goals? They are trying to, first of all, they try to get good marks in FSC part 1 and part 2. And after that, they are trying to gain good marks in ETA test. So these two, the gaining good marks in FSC part 1 and part 2, and after that gaining good marks in ETA test, these are the missions that they are trying to achieve. And for that they will, for example, for preparation and for getting good marks in ETA test, they are joining these academies and they are consulting different people. So these are the short-term objectives, and for those objectives they are trying to have some certain pathway, and after following that pathway they are going to achieve that mission. And after getting good marks in FSC and after getting good marks in ETA test, they are trying to achieve that vision that they will be after getting good marks they will be of course doctors. So they are trying to now you can say that they are trying to make it reality, or they are trying to prove it as real. Their vision, they are trying to prove it as being a real picture of what they have predicted earlier. So we are going to read Jinnah's Vision of Pakistan, but before that I would like to give you some background about who was Quaid-e-Azam. Quaid-e-Azam, his real name is Muhammad Ali Jinnah, but he has got the title of Quaid-e-Azam or the Great Leader. Now, he was born on 25th December 1876 and died on September 11, 1948. You can see that he was a barrister by profession, he was a politician, and we in Pakistani, we know Quaid-e-Azam is the founding father of Pakistan, the founder of Pakistan, because he did a lot, he struggled a lot to make this dream come true of having a different or individual country, an independent country for the Muslims of subcontinent. So let's read Jinnah's vision. Now here, as I told you, vision is like you could say an image, a picture that someone portrays, that someone draws in his or her mind, that after 10 years, after 20 years, where I shall be, where this country shall be. So Jinnah was also trying to give a picture to the country, or you can say that a picture to the people, that we need to be in a certain position after 10 or 20 years. Or you can say that Jinnah was trying to like predict the future, or Jinnah was like, you can say that, making up the mind of the people that we should lead Pakistan to this particular position. So open up your book on page number 21. This is reading section 1.1. I will be reading it and then I will be explaining the major points to all of you. Jinnah's vision of Pakistan. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Mr. Jinnah's presidential address to the Constituent Assembly of Pakistan. Now, what is Constituent Assembly? Constituent Assembly is a particular assembly, or you can say that a group of members or committee, and in that group of members or committee, the people, they are selected, or you can say that they are elected by people. When they elect those leaders, they make up an assembly where they frame, or you can say that where they are discussing important points related to the country, related to the you can say future of that country. So here Jinnah is going to address the first, you can say, Constituent Assembly, because as you all know that Pakistan came into being in on 14th August 1947. So this is before that announcement of that independence. This is the first Constituent Assembly. They have like made up the Constituent Assembly, and now they are trying to like frame the rules and regulations for the newly born country. It's just like, for example, if you are going to open up a shop, or if you are going to open up a college or school, you are going to decide that what kind of rules and regulations will be there in that school, or you can say that what will be the color of the uniform in that school. So here similarly they have now decided that we are going to have Pakistan, or we are going to have an independent country, and we will announce it on 14th August 1947. But before that, what particular rules and regulations should be there in that country? So they are now framing those rules and regulations with the help of this Constituent Assembly. So Muhammad Ali Jinnah's 11th August speech is one of the most famous speeches made by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founding father of Pakistan, and known as Quaid-e-Azam, Great Leader. So this is you can say that why this speech is important, because this is by, first of all, this is by the founding father or the great leader of Pakistan. Secondly, this speech is now going to frame, this is going to be the first base for the you can say कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अभी तक चला आ रहा है, जिसको हम लोग आइन के नाम पे हम लोग उसको डेली हम लोग न्यूज़ में सुनते हैं. This is related to that Constituent Assembly. This is related to that Constitution. So this is one of the famous speeches, one of the most famous speeches of Quaid-e-Azam because it has got a great message behind this speech. If we will read it, the original text, we will come to know. This is these lines from here to this point. This is just the background that is going to tell you about that when Quaid-e-Azam delivered this speech, on what occasion. So this is just the background. You must all remember these minute details because you are going to have these questions at the end of this reading section under the heading of, under the title of recalling. Today, there is hardly a more contentious issue in Pakistan than the issue of Jinnah's vision. Now, it means that today, if we look around in the, like you can say, in the country that where we are living, there is hardly any other issue that Jinnah has predicted earlier, which means that Jinnah was, you can say that a visionary. Jinnah already predicted that if we will not work on these issues today, the newly born country, for example, as I give you example of an organization, if an organization is not going to make the rules and regulations earlier, so everybody will be having their own, you can say that they will be trying to implement their own rules and regulations. So there must be certain set of rules and regulations before we run into any organization. So Jinnah was also aware of this thing, that if we are not going to make rules and regulations before the country is going to have its title, so it will be having these issues. So today in Pakistan, we hardly find any other issues that Jinnah has already discussed in this speech. While Pakistan was created as a result of what could be described as Indian Muslim nationalism, Jinnah was widely held as a competent barrister who had once championed the cause of Hindu-Muslim unity and a united India. Now, Jinnah by profession, as we have already discussed, that he was a barrister. He was once in a favor of, you can say that he was in a favor of unity of Indian Muslim and Hindus. Why? Because he wanted a united India. Now, why he was in favor of united India? Because he was thinking that if Muslims and Hindus, they are going to like make unity together, we can fight against the British. But when he saw that the Muslims, they are not in a good condition, the Hindus, they are treating them badly, so then Jinnah turned towards this new struggle, that he was trying to make a country where Muslims should have their own independence so that they can practice their religion, they can practice their own practices. So then he started campaigning in favor of Muslims having their own country. And it is written over here that how Pakistan and India came into being, it's because of this nationalism. Nationalism means that when you have attachment with your own nation, when you do things in you could say in the love of your own nation, in the love of your own identity, that we can, in simple word, we can say nationalism. For example, being Pakistani, if we show our patriotism towards our country, that is also counted as nationalism. So here we can say that Muslims, they were fighting for their identity, they were fighting for their, you can say, religious identity, cultural identity. So this is the nationalism that Hindu Muslim brought in front, and they fought for they fought for this reason, and then Pakistan and India came into being. So we can say that one of the major reasons that Pakistan came into being, it was the Indian Muslim nationalism. So when the partition of India finally occurred, Jinnah, soon to be Governor General of the Dominion of Pakistan, gave expression to his vision of Pakistan in an address to the Constituent Assembly on August 11, 1947. So this is on the occasion of, you can say, Constituent Assembly, where Jinnah was soon to be the Governor General. So he was going to be the Governor General. So like you can say that the partition was done, the rules and regulations now they were framing, and after 2 to 3 days they were announcing that now Pakistan is an independent country. So when the country is going to be independent, surely it's going to have its own rules and regulation, it's going to have its own president, it's going to have its own prime minister, it's going to have its own governor general. So Quaid-e-Azam was soon to be the governor general of the independent Pakistan. So he tried to give his try to make up the mind of the people that how he wants Pakistan to be, how or what should Pakistan look like after independence. So he was trying to take the you can say that he was trying to make up the mind of the people that we should make certain rules and regulations where everybody will be treated as equally. So he spoke of an inclusive and impartial government, religious freedom, rule of law, and equality for all. He also seemed to advocate the ideology of Pakistan. Now, if you just remember these lines from here to here, you can see that this is the gist of, this is the heart of the whole speech, we can say. This is the summary of the whole speech, in short, we can say. But yes, Quaid-e-Azam has talked about many other things, but so far we can say that the few important points that Quaid-e-Azam discussed in his speech is, the first one is of inclusive. Now what does inclusive means? Inclusive means when you are going to treat everybody equally, and when you are making up certain rules and regulations, you are considering each one of them. For example, if a person belongs to a Muslim you can say community, and if a person is belonging to Hindu community, so Quaid-e-Azam is saying that we should consider both of them when we are drawing, when we are making, when we are framing these rules and regulations. And impartial government means that, the word impartial means that where a person is not going to take side of any particular group. So Quaid-e-Azam is saying that if we, as we have we have struggled Pakistan in the name of Islam, we have achieved it in the name of Islam, we have struggled for it. But I don't mean to say that we should only advocate or we should only give privileges to Muslims, we should only give good things to Muslims, we should treat Hindus badly. No. Quaid-e-Azam is saying that there should be impartial government. Impartial government means that everybody is everybody should be treated equally. Every community, every group is equal in the eyes of law. So we should treat them equally. Then he is saying that we should give religious freedom to everyone. Religious freedom means that Quaid-e-Azam was in favor of secular country. Secular country, the word secular, अगर उर्दू में इसको हम ट्रांसलेट करें तो इसको हम मजहबी कहते हैं, बट द थिंग, द वर्ड एंड इट्स इम्प्लीमेंटेशन दे आर टोटली डिफरेंट. When a country is secular, it means that Hindus are independent to go to their temples, Christians are independent to go to their churches, and Muslims are independent to go to their mosque. So Quaid-e-Azam was in a favor that we should have a country which is going to be totally opposite of that of United India or subcontinent, where Muslims were banned to go to mosque, or like you Hindus were having partial government, so they were treating Muslims badly. So Quaid-e-Azam is trying to say that we should not come up with such country because it may cause division again. Like if we are going to treat, if we are going to give privileges to Sindhis, so definitely Balochis are going to fight for their rights. And if we are going to give privileges, or you can say if we are going to favor Pathans only, so it means that Punjabis are also going to struggle for their rights. So Quaid-e-Azam is trying to say that each and everyone should be treated equally. Now Hindus are independent to do their religious practice. Christians are allowed to do their religious practice, and everybody else is allowed to do their own practices. So this country, it should be religious freedom, then yes, rule of law and equality for all, which is again the same that if we make up rules and regulations and if we implement them, if we are going to impose them on this country, so definitely there will be no inequality, and everybody will be equal in the eyes of law. And then definitely he was the great leader who advocated or who struggled for Pakistan. So yes, he advocated the ideology of Pakistan, which means that he was again struggling, or you can say that he was again talking about the two nation theory, or you can say that he was talking about the reason that why Pakistan came into being, what was the major cause of Pakistan coming into being. So he also talked about the ideology of the Pakistan. That's all for today. We will be discussing the wordings of Quaid Azam's speech in the next lecture. Thank you so much.